Okay, class, this is section 5.3. We are going to be talking about kites and trapezoids. So let's open up Sketchpad and make a nice kite. Okay, so if you remember, to construct a kite, we want to make perpendicular lines because a kite is actually two isosceles triangles put together. So if you will remember, a kite is a quadrilateral with exactly two distinct pairs of congruent consecutive sides. So in order to construct a kite, we need to find the midpoint of a segment, then construct a perpendicular. Now that I have this perpendicular, I want to put a point on either side of my original segment. So this is how I would make two isosceles triangles, and I'm sticking them together. So I am constructing segments here, and then I am going to construct segments on the other side as well in order to make my kite. Okay, so here is my kite. I think it would probably be a good idea to type in the definition of a kite. It is a quadrilateral with exactly two distinct pairs of congruent consecutive sides. Okay, so if I'm looking at the picture, let's construct this diagonal here as a segment, and then I can get rid of the perpendicular line. So I'm going to hide this line, and we're just going to look at it like this for just a second. Okay, so there's my kite. I can slide this point up and down. So I have a consecutive congruent side here. And then over on this side, oops, maybe it won't let me do it now. Shoot. Okay, so again, think about it being two consecutive isosceles triangles stuck together. You know that we constructed it with perpendicular lines. Okay, so now we need to identify the vertex angles and the non-vertex angles. So let's see. Let's name my vertices. Okay. Angle A and angle C are the vertex angles. Angle D and angle B are the non-vertex angles. Okay, so now we're going to make some conjectures about a kite. There are going to be 4 different conjectures that I want you to remember about the kite. Okay, so the non-vertex angles are the ones we're going to talk about first. So let's measure them. So I'm going to measure angle ADC And then I'm going to measure angle ABC. Those are our non-vertex angles. They are the same. So our non-vertex angles have the same measure. Okay, so the non-vertex angles have the same measure. The next thing I want you to notice are about the diagonals, which we already know because we constructed it this way, but the diagonals are perpendicular lines. So if I measure one of these angles and note that it's 90, we know that line segment AC is perpendicular to line segment DB. Another thing I want you to know is what the diagonals do to one another. So now I'm going to measure the length of DE and then the length of EB. Notice that they are the same. So the diagonal connecting the vertex angles is bisecting the diagonal connecting the non-vertex angles. And the fourth thing is about the vertex angles. If I measure DAE and then I measure BAE, notice that they are the same degrees. I can do the same with the other vertex angle. DCE measures 56.38, and then angle ECB will also measure 56.38. So to summarize all of that information, here are the four things that you need to know, and we will make them conjectures. The non-vertex angles are congruent. The diagonals are perpendicular. The diagonal connecting the vertex angles bisects the diagonal connecting the non-vertex angles. Okay, maybe we should mark those congruent too. And then the fourth thing, the vertex angles are being bisected. The vertex angles are bisected by the diagonal. So those are the four things that are important, and I want you to remember. Now I am going to go back to the pen here, and we'll mark that congruent to this one. And then maybe I can get these angles marked congruent. There we go. It's not the same. Let's see. There we go. It won't do a second one over here for me. Don't know why. Okay, well those two base angles are congruent as well. And then we want to put this as a right angle. There we go. So that's the 4 pieces of information I'd like you to know. I am going to take a picture of this and put it in the notes. I think you should do the same thing. Okay, and then we have to fill in the 4 conjectures. There's a picture of a kite. Okay, so here's our conjectures. The blank angles of a kite are blank. The non-vertex angles of a kite are congruent. So the non-vertex angles of a kite are congruent, is conjecture 34. The next conjecture, the diagonals of a kite are perpendicular. The third conjecture, the diagonals connecting the vertex angles of a kite is the blank of the other diagonal. And the correct fill-in is perpendicular bisector. Perpendicular bisector. And then the last conjecture on a kite, the blank angles of a kite are blank by a blank. The vertex angles of a kite are bisected by a diagonal. Okay, so there are your 4 conjectures on a kite. The next conjectures are going to have to do with a trapezoid. I'm going to make a separate video for your trapezoid. So this concludes the portion on the kites.